you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I don't even recognize who I've become? That quiet discomfort you feel, that's not failure. It's the beginning of transformation. There's a moment in every life when the old self begins to crumble. It doesn't happen in a single flash of inspiration, but through subtle realizations that whisper, this isn't me anymore. That's where the psychology of self-transformation begins, not in changing what you do, but in questioning who you think you are. Most people believe transformation is an event, a decision, a resolution, a breakthrough. But science says otherwise. True transformation is neurological reconstruction, the rewiring of your brain through awareness, repetition, and emotion. Each time you challenge an old belief, you literally change your neural map. Every conscious choice, no matter how small, reshapes the architecture of your mind. Psychologists call this neuroplasticity. Your brain isn't fixed. It's a living landscape, constantly adapting to how you think, what you feel, and what you choose. But here's the paradox. The mind craves stability, not growth. That's why change feels uncomfortable. The ego fights for control, trying to protect the identity it's spent years building, even if that identity is the very thing suffocating you. When you try to change your habits, it's not just willpower you're fighting. You're battling your own self-concept. Your brain clings to the story you've told about yourself. I'm lazy, I'm not confident, I'm not good enough. Those stories become invisible walls that define your possibilities. Transformation begins the moment you notice the wall, not when you tear it down. Awareness itself is the first act of rebellion. Once you see the pattern, you can no longer be fully controlled by it. That's why psychologists like Carl Jung describe transformation as individuation, integrating the parts of yourself you've rejected into a single, unified whole. Abraham Maslow called it self-actualization, the realization of your fullest potential once your basic needs are met. Different words, same truth. Change starts within. And here's the uncomfortable reality. You can't transform without friction. Growth always demands discomfort. Every time you feel lost, anxious, or uncertain, it's not a sign of failure. It's your brain leaving behind its old wiring. Think of it as a psychological rebirth. The old self resists, but the new one is learning to breathe. That's why real transformation doesn't begin with new habits, it begins with a new identity. If you see yourself as disorganized, you might clean once, but chaos will return. If you see yourself as bad with money, you'll save for a week, then self-sabotage. But if you begin saying, I'm learning to become disciplined, your mind starts to align with a new image. Behavior follows identity, not the other way around. This is the secret. Transformation is an identity project disguised as self-improvement. Every lasting change, breaking addictions, healing relationships, building confidence, starts with redefining who you believe you are. But that requires radical honesty. You can't evolve while lying to yourself about what's broken. Self-transformation begins the moment you admit, this is what I feel, this is what I've avoided, this is what still hurts. That kind of honesty isn't weakness, it's psychological hygiene. You can't heal what you refuse to face. And once you face it, the process begins to unfold. Slowly, chaos turns into clarity. Doubt becomes direction. Pain becomes data. You start to see emotions not as enemies, but as messengers from the subconscious. Anger signals boundaries crossed. Sadness reveals loss. Anxiety means you're standing at the edge of growth. In those moments, mindfulness and self-compassion aren't luxuries, they're tools. Neuroscience shows that when you approach your pain with curiosity instead of judgment, the brain's fear center, the amygdala, calms down. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for reason and long-term planning, activates. Simply put, kindness rewires the brain faster than criticism ever could. Over time, transformation becomes less about forcing and more about flowing. You stop trying to fix yourself and start integrating every part of you, light and shadow, strength and flaw. The paradox is that the more you accept yourself, the faster you change, because resistance consumes energy that awareness frees. And then one day, you'll look back and realize the old triggers don't control you anymore. The thoughts that once haunted you have gone quiet. You'll feel a strange calm, not because life got easier, but because your inner world stopped fighting itself. That's psychological maturity, not the absence of pain, but the presence of perspective. But transformation isn't a destination, it's a spiral. You'll revisit the same lessons at deeper levels, each time with more wisdom, more patience, and less fear. As Viktor Frankl once said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In the end, self-transformation is not about becoming someone extraordinary. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Beneath every defense, every mask, every fear, there's a quiet self that's always been whole. Transformation isn't about creating that self, it's about returning to it. So if you feel lost, uncertain, or afraid, remember this: confusion is not failure. It's the space between identities, the silence before the rebirth. Don't rush it, just stay awake through it. Because the moment you stop chasing change and start living with awareness, you'll realize something powerful. You haven't been trying to become someone new. You've been trying to come home to yourself all along.